I made you cry. So before we die, I'd like to do something nice. I want to buy you something, but I don't have any money. No, I don't have any money. I want to buy you something, but I don't have any money. No, I don't have any money. And if I had a car, I would trade in my car. If I had a gun, I would trade in my gun. Honey, we ran from the country when we rushed to the city. And now there's nothing to be done, there's nothing to be done, there's nothing to be done, there's nothing to be done. I want to buy you something, but I don't have any money. No, I don't have any money. I want to buy you something, but I don't have any money. No, I don't have any money. I want to buy you something, but I don't have any money. No, I don't have any money. I want to buy you something, but I don't have any money. No, I don't have any money. And I want to buy you something, but I don't have any money. No, I don't have any money. And I want to buy you something, but I don't have any money. No, I don't have any money.
Welcome to the Friday Nights. I'm Jason Sandberg. Fellas, it has been cold as heck up here in Minnesota, but I have had a fantastic week. I'm looking forward to tonight's show. We have joining us Salty Draws, And so I picked out issues. I picked up issues 1 and 2 of Silence Dogood, pulled them out of my back issue bins here in my studio, and it got me thinking about longevity. So this week I've been meditating on longevity because Mad Ruth, you're gearing up to start issue 5.
Yep.
Salty's doing issue 3. I'm working on issue 2. So longevity. It was a thing I was meditating about this week, and I thought to myself, when it comes to indie comics and longevity, you've got Nexus by Baron and Rude, but then you've also got The Spirit by Will Eisner. So I also pulled out my back issue bins here, some old issues, reprints of the kitchen sink spirits from the 80s, and how much I loved these when I was younger, and the fact that The Spirit and Will Eisner had been around for so long. And then I said, you know what? An example of longevity is how other creators can take something that you made and keep it alive. So I ordered this. I got this on my Amazon this week. This is a kitchen sink in like the year 2000. Had a bunch of indie creators and mainstream creators just do short spirit stories, right? Standalone spirit issues. I had picked up one of them, the Paul Pope issue, like number 7. Never got the rest of them. I said, you know what? I'm going to continue to meditate on longevity by indulging in the spirit. So I'll be reading this in the coming days and thinking about what's the magic ingredient that makes a character, makes a story, makes a series last and versus flame out. And on the topic of Will Eisner, we're going to be talking about Diamond Distributors later in the show. If you're curious about the early history of the comic book industry, I highly recommend this by Will Eisner. It's called The Dreamer. It's a beautiful book. I got this in 1986. There's a paperback version that's floating around out there. It's his life story in the world of comics up until when he got the contract to do The Spirit. So Jack Kirby makes a cameo in here. All kinds of shady characters, all kinds of saints and sinners in the early days of comics are in here as making cameos. Highly recommend this. So on the top of longevity, I'm hard at work on Jupiter issue 2. Jupiter issue 1 is on the way to hitting 10K on indieGoGo. It's going to be in the next couple weeks. I guarantee you I'll be crossing that milestone. So go check that out if you haven't already. Eventually, I'll have some pages from issue 2 that are worthy of sharing with you all. Looking forward to getting that going this year. Craig, anything new this week with you and Governor Trombone?
With it, other than so I make fun, like if people see my Twitter and they're like, what the hell is wrong with this guy? He's constantly trashing on these politicians. I mean, they stole, and I know it's just billions with the B, it's not trillions. I know it's
so quaint,
far more spending, but they just threw away hundreds of billions of dollars and have destroyed this country over the past 9 years to the point where we are incredibly weak. We are weak. We are completely on our backs like a turtle with our soft underbelly exposed.
Country.
That's right. That's right. So
I wish the United States only misplaced and squandered billions.
Yeah, right. Not what is after trillion? I don't even know what's after trillions because that's where we're at now, right?
Yeah,
I mean, we are
getting there.
In gazillions. What I don't.
Yeah,
what is it? I don't
so.
even know. I'm retarded. So
yeah, someone in the chat might know.
Yeah.
But so what I was reading right now is I'm reading Band of the Brothers by Arvid and Oren.
Yeah,
I'm about halfway through it. But we have these pages. I mean, you just sit there and stare at these pages. I'm at the point where her husband's taking credit for her kicking the shit out of the trolls. Because he's typical sleazy politician, right?
That series is worth the wait. That's just a beautiful.
It's great. Oh, I'm having fun. Like I said, I'm just taking my time enjoying the pages because if I could just read it and flip through, but that wouldn't be much fun. But you mentioned these 2 books as well.
Oh yeah,
yeah. I read through both issues of these. Oh man, what a great story so far. I'm really digging it. It's Ben Franklin in his youth, and I like the tidbits of like real life history and stuff you put in there, like what Silence Dogood and like how that came along, and just various things. His trip to London, and then just the overall premise of the story. It's very cool. I'm digging it.
He's the man we need in these troubled times. So we're looking forward to looking at issue 3 tonight.
Yes. So yeah, that was my reading for the week, and at some point I'm going to sit down with Gonzalo, and we'll just start doing random pages. I think Gonzalo would like to hear from me that we won't be on a straight crunch of like a page a week, a week, and I'll just be like, you know what, I'll throw you a page, you get to it when you want, call me when you've got it done. Oh, nice. You got Band of Crow as well.
Yeah, Craig, I say take your time, let the economy heal, and by the time you guys are done with issue 5, people will be flush with cash again,
Yeah.
and you'll have no problem.
For sure.
Let that Trump economy start rolling in.
No taxes on tips, no taxes on overtime, no income tax.
Dude, don't
We might be a
don't
US
tease
state.
me with no income tax. Don't tease me.
I might be a U.S. state by the time Soul Tax Fund is done.
Well,
Yeah, you
I
in
mean,
Greenland.
if I was president, Canada would already be a province. So would Greenland, Mexico, and Israel. I would just make those.
Nice.
That would be just provinces, because I would make imperialism good again, because it's in my best interest. And if you disagree, I don't care.
Hey, fellas, what do you think we rename the Atlantic Ocean the American Ocean?
I want to name the Pacific Ocean the American Ocean, actually, because it's bigger.
How about
It's the biggest of the oceans.
The East American Ocean and the West
You know?
American Ocean.
Yeah. Hey, perfect. West American Ocean, East American Ocean. And if you don't like it, I don't care.
So,
All right.
so how's your week, Salty? Yeah.
Yeah.
You have any books you want to share?
Yeah. So I'm so excited to read this.
Yes.
The only thing that I'm a little annoyed about is that it's really wide, so it doesn't fit in my long box.
They are iconoclasts. They are
It
troublemakers.
is a wide comic book. It is a magazine shaped comic book, but the artwork is gorgeous.
Amazing.
Oh my Lord. It's a gorgeous looking book, and Arvid is a really good writer. He I believe me and Arvid have similar backgrounds where we both worked in the entertainment industry. Him as more of on the writing side, me more in the creative director marketing side, but very, very good writer so far. I'm liking it, but I'm reading this right now. This week I've been reading this. I'm trying to catch up on all my books. So Graham Nolan's Monster Island, or Return to Monster Island, and I'm about halfway through, and so far it's a lot of fun, man. It feels like a little bit Tom Strong, but also because how Tom Strong harkened back to the golden age, like those adventure sci-fi comics, and that's kind of the vibe that this has, or totally has. It reminds me of being a kid and waking up Saturday morning to watch what was that freaking one where the Lost Planet? It's like that vibe, and I love it, man. It's so much fun. The panels are really well drawn, like it's really, really clear visual storytelling.
Yep.
I love the dialogue. It's really snappy. And so Graham Nolan, dude, honestly, this book is actually very inspiring to me doing Silence Dogood, and which is my very first comic. Again, 20 years in entertainment advertising, working as a creative director, trying to do my own comic book. This is very inspiring for Silence Dogood because it's that same vibe, sci-fi adventure, and I love it, man. This is so good.
Yeah, he's firing on all cylinders right now, and I think many of us, I think a lot of us share that feeling of looking at someone like Mike Baron, Graham Nolan, who we love the work in the past, and now not only are they doing like the best work of their career,
unshackled.
They're unshackled editorially, and they're getting all the money. They're keeping all the money. So it's a beautiful thing to see as a lifelong fan, someone who they've given us hours of enjoyment over the years. And now it's good to know that as they get into the back third of their career, they're hitting new highs and they're flush with cash. It's just beautiful to see.
Yeah, no, this has been a fun read. I can't wait to get to Band of Crow though, because again, this book, and I have this was my least favorite cover. The other covers, I'm like, no, I'm not going to bag those because they're gorgeous. So I always like, my least favorite cover is the one that gets like held and touched with all my greasy, my nacho fingers, eating chips while I read this.
Yeah. That cover would look so cool on the side of a van.
Eating chips while you read comics.
But I do love the cover because it's very Dan Lawless or like, Frank Frazetta, so it's still a good cover. It's just my least favorite, so that's how I do that.
I opened up all 3 Band of Crow just to make sure one wasn't an art book, and they're all the same book, just so you know.
Yeah, Arvid's great though. He's a really fun guy. Everyone should go follow him on Twitter. I don't even know what his Twitter, his X.
Arvid the Wit, I think.
Yeah. What a fun guy. He's great, man.
He's a great guy. All right, Craig. Speaking of great guys, who's in the chat tonight?
Yeah, so first and foremost is Vulcan. And again, Vulcan is a knight as well at this point. Did I give Vulcan a wrench? I got to figure out.
I thought you did last week.
How dare you, sir?
I got to figure out how to do this. Hold on.
Oh, so did we do the drums money because I'm on the show again, or is that your guys' weekly thing?
No, that's
No.
for you.
Yeah.
Because I might need a new song, like I gotta mix it up, guys.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Yeah, you're more than welcome. Anytime you come on a show, if you have an idea for what you want for the intro, I'm always looking for ideas. So.
Who doesn't love that song, though? I mean,
great.
You're welcome for introducing you all to new music. I will always do that, introduce you to new music.
Yes. Oh, I love that song. Like that's what inspired that video. I actually did that video twice. There you go. I just made Vulcan a moderator. If Vulcan types again, he should have a wrench beside his name. Whatchamacallit? Yeah, no, when you introduced me to that song, I had all these great movie clips in mind. And
oh, nice.
Your video is the only one when you were last on the show. I didn't quite finish editing and splicing in everything I wanted to before we went live. So then I sat here with all the extra video clips and I'm like, do I want to finish this thing? So the one you saw tonight is actually the finished one.
Dang it. Now that's got to be my intro because I want to come back. So, the drums.
Every issue of Sounds Do Good. You just got to book it ahead of time. You'll be here.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, issue 4 will be coming out because I've already started writing on it and doing some of the art. So it's going to be dope.
So here's your handle, and I'm gonna put this in here right now. Let's go. So if you can, while we're doing the show, click on his YouTube. But when we get to Salty's YouTube, I pulled another video. You've got 3 videos up there, and
only 3 videos. But I do have the Salty and Savage show, which is its own channel that I can provide a link for if you guys want. Which is a much better show. But we've been on hiatus because I've been rebuilding my studio. My co-host Savage has been doing his own thing, and we are going to be starting live shows once a week again in February.
Nice.
Very cool. And then Edwin. So same thing. Edwin, I got to get him on for Aces 1, 2, and 3. Yep. Like, reach out, Edwin, if you're there. You want to come on our show? You got a book to promote? Please reach out to me in DMs. I'll gladly give you a Friday whenever you want one. I would love to have you on as a guest. Thank you for joining us always. And Edwin always is retweeting us and I really appreciate it. Like I said, I want to back Aces 1, 2, and 3. I want to back his books. Just, me, I only back when people come on as a guest because we have a guest every week. So I just back once a week. BA is here joining us. Hail Jabronis. Hail to you as BA.
BA is great, man. He was getting some shade the other day because it's like, oh, he made only a mini comic for his novel series. And
yeah, so I read that.
Yeah, and the guy talking trash about his mini comic, you maybe want to simmer down because his mini comic looks beautiful.
Yeah, it's,
and I'll leave
Barton
it at that.
Brothers. Yeah.
I'll leave it at that.
But BA was actually briefly a night on our show for 4 days, but BA likes to clash. BA likes to cause trouble and stuff.
Yeah, he does.
We were like, nah, we just kind of want to, chill and just have fun. And he's like, all right, I'm off to, go do what I want to do.
I think BA might be a little more salty than I am.
Yeah. Flip City's joining us as well. So it's Good Friday. Yeah. Good Friday as well.
I am going to, after I get done with Jupiter issue 2, I'm going to do like a 1-page strip and submit it to Flip City magazine. It's on my bucket list. I don't know what I'm going to do, but I'm going to do at least a 1-page strip, like something like not a spy versus spy, but something like that. But so stay tuned. Eventually I'll get around to that.
I wonder if they would accept my political cartoons that I like to do in my spare time.
They stay away from the third rail.
What? Oh, what? Are you messing with me?
Yeah. No, I'm sure they'll take anything. They'll take anything from us.
I used to do political cartoons when I was in junior high for my the Antelope Valley Press.
Nice.
They were ridiculous.
He'll try to do Jackknife Proud. Already has. He's usually our hat trick backer already. Vulcan, like I said, I appreciate. You ever want to come on the show? You're more than welcome. Hang out. Philbo says, "Hail Knights," and Philbo's well. I've been reaching out to Philbo on that side. I've got a couple friends as well. AR13L.
Mm-hmm.
They're working on another project. So, I've got some friends lined up. I'm going to reach out to Anthony Figueroa, ask him if he's coming on. Chubb with Merry Boys.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, hey, what's doing? So we've got a lot of exciting new books coming this year.
Good deal.
But
Are you posting my Indiegogo numbers? You got to post all of my Indiegogo numbers.
Yeah, sorry. Did I jump to that?
This
Yes.
is I posted so Jackknife's not here, so I'm just setting this is the baseline. We're starting with 83 backers and 24.89 on the campaign. So this is just a like baseline. So we'll see where we end up at the end of the show.
No, oh, gotcha. Yeah, because that's the active campaign. Because like the original campaign, we raised over $14,000 and had 143 backers. But yeah, totally.
Yeah, we like to see what the we're a small show, but we've got a loyal audience. We like to see what the Friday Night's effect is.
Yeah, well, last time I came on, I sold a bunch of books, which was made my wife very happy, but also very busy because she is the one that does all the fulfillment.
That's good. Keep her busy. Keep her out of trouble. Idle hands.
Well, yeah, it's she either is shipping comics or making sandwiches because that is what a wife should do.
Nice.
You know.
But yeah, I recall before the cancel mob killed Ed Piskor, there was the kayfabe effect, and it was fun to watch the kayfabe effect, where they would cover an old book, they cover a new book, and just the people would go check it out. Now, Craig and I have many years ahead of us. Eventually, there will be the Friday Night's effect. But for now, we've just got the clout we can pull.
Well, and it's still, you know what? I would say the Friday night bump, you know, like Bancroft's got the Bancroft bump.
Yep.
And I think that there's a Friday night bump. I've experienced it one time in my life and hope to again. It kind of gooses you in the back of your pants. Wait, I'm sorry, what?
So we got her up tonight, by the way. Silence Dogood. If you haven't grabbed them, the link's pinned to the top of the chat. Right
Issue 3 is out. Jimmy Reyes cover. Jimmy Reyes is awesome. I love his cover. Very, very fun. And it's got a really fun back cover. I always do I always do the back cover myself, but it's always a little bit of a something. Well, actually, the first back cover was done by a really, really fun artist named Amoeba Artstorm. But the next two, you know, you get this one, right?
Very cool. That looks like a Nintendo game. That's awesome.
Literal pixel art right on the back there, guys.
Last one I got is Big Jimmy Hughes joining us. He's actually family. If you want to see some antics down by the river, he throws some funny stuff up on his YouTube.
But I will say that issue 3 will be the culmination of issues 1 and 2. It is the full story. So all 3 issues is the full first introductory story to my Benjamin Franklin character, who is a 19-year-old who gets kidnapped and trapped inside a VR program that's run by an artificial intelligence that thinks it's God.
It's very cool.
I look forward to looking at the page very soon and backing myself. So Craig, it's been sub-zero in Minnesota, and I've been like either at work working like 10, 12 hours a day, fixing the world. I have not had time to watch the news. What is our first news topic for this week?
So yeah, as if you don't know, we've got 46 joining us in the chat, watching the show. Thank you so much for 46 watching us. We come to you every Friday night at 10 p.m. Eastern, 90 minutes, 3 topics with 1 guest creator. So our first topic for this evening comes to you from New York Post. Gen Z shockingly admits they don't know how to change a light bulb in a startling new poll. So
who's the Canadian? The guy that says Zed.
So out of those that they surveyed, 25%, 1/4 of Gen Z that they polled admitted they don't know how to change a light bulb. They checked boomers, you know what I mean, the old people. Everyone else knew how to change a light bulb, but this generation.
Yeah. You know what this is called, though, guys, right? You know what this is called? Democratic. And I'm going to tell you why this is called.
Because in school, they're not learning practical stuff.
No, they're not supposed to learn this crap in school. The Democrats have screwed over the American family so hard that, like, back in the, like, I'm Gen X, okay? So Gen X, and I'm like the tail end of Gen X. I'm like barely Gen X, basically a millennial. But like when I was a kid, your mother didn't work a corporate full-time, I'm a go-getter job. She worked like a job where she was like making supplemental income and you were raising yourself as a latchkey kid.
Yeah.
But it was still, you had somebody there that wasn't slaving away in a corporate wage as a wage slave teaching you crap. You know, you had a dad in the house that was like, hey kid, this is how you change a tire on your bicycle. Oh, you rode your bike through the field and got some stickers on your tire. This is how you patch a tire. You had a dad there, you had a mom there teaching you household function. Like my mom taught me how to balance a checkbook. But now with the Democrats running every major city, they've forced parents to basically be wage slaves, and then these kids get raised by illegal aliens or daycare centers or TV and public schools. And so they don't know how to do freaking crap, man. And so people want to dog on Gen Z. No. You should dog on the Democrats and the stupid weak ass Republicans that haven't reinforced the nuclear family so that kids don't grow up retarded.
Absolutely. So Craig, now that they've dug this huge hole, is the solution to this to have shop class, where in shop class they show you how to change a light bulb?
Yes, they're gonna. Yeah, I mean, we used to have they used to let us do automotive in high school. Remember that? They don't have that anymore. But yeah, you have to teach them how to do all the basics in life. I mean, for starters, maybe turn in their cell phones in the school, because I could only imagine what learning must be like nowadays. Because I went through high school in the '90s, we didn't have cell phones.
You didn't even have flip phones. You don't have any phone. You were lucky if you had a pager, and if you had a pager, we probably thought you were selling drugs.
That's right.
So Salty, are you a little bit discouraged that instead of having fear and so forth, they wouldn't just like look at a YouTube clip about how to change a light bulb? I mean, isn't the whole point of the technology was to answer all these questions that were elusive?
Yeah, but you're talking about kids, and kids are retarded. And the whole point of being a parent is to make sure that your kid is less and less retarded every day.
Yeah,
so, and because we're making like mothers are now like, I'm going to be a VP in 10 years. And they're like literally a wage slave to their job. They're not even caring. Like it's almost like gross to raise your kid. It's more like chic and cool to like have a dog than a kid. I don't know, man. Like we're fucked in Western civilization. Like we're completely we're screwed. Okay. Like, but the F word is the proper adjective for it. We're so screwed because we are so focused on like a status and getting the job and making the money and paying the taxes and like doing the thing. No, raise your kids.
Well, I hate to say it, but they make kids almost unaffordable. Like I had my own reasons for why I waited till I was like 40 to have a child,
which is way too old.
Yes.
Yeah.
Should be having kids at like 25.
It's only
24.
rolling the dice. Yeah. It's rolling the dice. You don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
So,
but I was off traveling the world doing, fight.
Dude, you don't got to talk to me, man. Me and my wife, we don't have kids because it wasn't in the plans. Trust me, there's not like we weren't trying not to have kids. We weren't trying to have kids because we got married really late in life, but we weren't not trying. But also, I was a dumbass, and so my life is different. But like, dude, society should be geared around everyone having kids. Like I should have to adjust my life for society promoting the family. You know what I mean? Like the society shouldn't adjust to me. I need to adjust to society promoting the nuclear family.
Right. If it became the status quo and it became the norm, it would happen more often. But it's like
well,
you said,
if you didn't tax the
to.
shit out of families and destroy their lives with regulations and mortgages being super high and inflation and interest rates and basically being democrated, yeah, totally.
So an interesting, suspiciously interesting coincidence is that just as the feminist movement was encouraging women to be more self-reliant and so forth, just at that same time, the government goes off the gold standard and starts to inflate the dollar, so that you literally do have to have both spouses working just to keep up, right? Mm-hmm. And so, in hindsight, looking back, I think there's a lot of buyer's remorse for destroying the nuclear family.
As there should be. I mean, if your society is not geared for supporting the nuclear family, you're not going to have a society. I'm just not. And the thing is, it's like, it's not even it's like, it's so simple. Stop taxing everybody. Income tax should just be abolished tomorrow because it's slavery. So whatever your percentage of income tax is, your percentage of how much of a slave you are that year. And that should just go away in general. And the government maybe should go fuck themselves and stop trying to control everyone's life and like make everything better and this and that. And just like maybe focus on, I don't know, enforcing the laws that we have on the books so people don't get murdered and businesses and corporations don't fuck families over. Sorry if I'm using the F word too much on a live.
No, you're dead. You're dead right. So, Craig, this isn't the first time that Gen Z and their inadequacies have crossed over the radar screen here. So, we did do an investigative report this week. Can you bring that up? Let's do a little bit of a deep dive into this whole Gen Z thing.
Gen Z.
Gen Z. This is the Friday night's investigative report of Gen Z. All right, next slide, please. People talking about how Gen Z has all kinds of troubles, and just a simple example is Pop-Tarts. Salty,
How do you screw up a Pop-Tart?
Yeah, you don't unwrap the foil before you put it in the toaster. Salty, how often do you think this happens? And how many fires? I mean, God forbid, how many fires do you think break out in Los Angeles alone just due to people putting a Pop-Tart in the foil in the microwave?
Not
well, all the fires break out because of the homeless and the illegal aliens that are mentally ill and evil. But I'm pretty sure a few. I would say 7% of households with Gen Z kids inside start a kitchen fire because of Pop-Tarts.
Craig, what's more likely to catch on fire? A Pop-Tart left in the foil in the microwave or a toaster, or like an iPad that where the battery gets unstable?
I'm going to say the Pop-Tart. Well, first off, how many Gen Z? They didn't ask this one survey, but how many of them actually cook and make food for themselves, right?
Microwave, toaster pastries count. You just have to unwrap it.
But if they've never done it before, it's kind of scary. It's right up there with the light bulb, because part of that when I read that is they don't have to do anything for themselves. They live in the most automated society in the history of humanity, which is where we're.
They also don't have parents that love them.
Right.
Salty is a Pop-Tart like a breakfast Hot Pocket.
Is a Pop-Tart a breakfast Hot Pocket? I would probably have to say yes.
I think so.
Because when it's in the toaster too long and you bite into it too early, it'll destroy your mouth, just like a Hot Pocket.
Yep, definitely. And then obviously everybody's experienced Hot Pocket regret, where after you eat the Hot Pocket, you really regret it, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
I've never regretted it, but also I'm a toaster strudel guy, so yeah, maybe. I don't know.
All right, so Gen Z, if you're not going to read the instructions on the Pop-Tart box, watch a YouTube video and learn how to properly toast a Pop-Tart, will you?
Yeah. Before you do anything, there's a video on YouTube for how to do it. Yes.
Gen Z, I'm sorry your mother doesn't love you enough to stay home. I'm sorry. I really am.
You can probably put that YouTube too. What should a mother do?
Guys, I'm gonna share a real life story here. My parents did get divorced, and my mother principally raised me. And she was working because she had to. What she would do is I would get up in the morning and get myself and my brother on the bus. But what she would do is she would pour the bowl of cereal, 2 bowls of cereal, and put it on the kitchen table. And then she would pour 2 glasses of milk and put it in the fridge. So I'm 5 or 6 years old, getting myself on the bus. I would go into the fridge, take out the glasses of milk, pour it into the bowl of cold cereal and eat my breakfast. I was able to do that. I never burned the house down. And maybe the
but your mother was teaching you. She was teaching you how to do this, because while she had to work like a good Gen X baby, she's raising a Gen X baby, she's doing the right thing. Gen Z's just completely been abandoned, man. Like, because I don't know why. Is it millennials raising Gen Z? I feel so bad for Gen Z. I really do. I'm sorry, guys.
Yeah,
you guys are going to be Democrated hard.
Hey, the only thing worse than Gen Z raising millennials would be boomers raising Gen Z. Okay, so we've got 59 people. We got 59 people watching live. Let's look at the next topic for Gen Z. So apparently another thing that came out a couple of weeks ago was is Gen Z and millennials are just afraid to answer the phone. Salty, what gives?
Right. Well, I'm sorry. I also agree with Gen Z on not answering the phone.
Tell me
Don't
why.
call me, email or text. Because I'm busy, I'm doing things, I'm whatever. And honestly, if I'm not doing anything, I still am going to screen my call. Because back in the day, Gen X had the answering machine. You didn't answer the phone. You waited to see who was calling because you didn't have caller ID or nothing. And you waited for that beep and then the message and be like, oh, maybe I'll call back. So I am down. Like, I think Gen Z is actually the kindred to Gen X. And I appreciate the fact that, like, no, screw you. Email me or text message.
Craig, how many Gen Z relationships would not be ruined by the misunderstanding that is inherent in text messages? If you can't hear the tone of somebody's voice, if you can't hear their inflection over the phone, you're going to misunderstand the true meaning of their messaging. So how are they doing these relationships to fail because they're just reading text on a screen? What do you think, Craig?
I just think like, it's just their way of communicating with each other, right? I mean, also too the fact that when you're not talking to another voice, you can be a totally different person when you're hidden behind your text messages. So I mean, you've got an entire like whole psychological thing going on where the people you're texting are pretending to be something they're not, and you have no way to see through it because you're not actually communicating with one another properly.
That's true. But you should text message to initiate a phone call or a Discord
Yeah.
video
Like-
call.
Yeah,
You
you
know what
got
I'm saying?
time?
Like-
Can I call you? Yeah.
Can I clear it
yeah,
with you? Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, let's look at another topic where Gen Z is just falling down on his face.
Right.
Identity crisis. Salty, this woman here, this young lady, her name is Stacy. She identifies as a Pez dispenser. She's been on the Friday nights as a topic of conversation a few times. What is the craziest thing you've come across a Gen Z person identifying as?
Oh, I don't know. Well, again, I feel bad for Gen Z. I'm very sympathetic towards them. They're being told by their freaking public government schools to identify as something, and the only way that they'll be ever treated as special is not by achieving, but by identifying as something. Like when we were growing up, we felt special because we achieved something. We won a spelling bee or won an art contest or played in a sport or whatever. None of that is like the millennials were all getting participation trophies. Gen Z, it's like the next level of like, oh no, you don't get anything special at all. So now it's like, but we will reward you if you identify as a turtle.
Right.
So of course they're going to identify as weird crap because it's the only way you can get a pat on the back. And we're all hungry. We are all hungry for someone to say, good job, kid. That was great.
Craig, is Salty onto something that life is a verb that needs to be lived versus a noun that needs to be applied?
That one went a little over my head, but on the same sentiment,
Like a Pez helmet over your head, like a Pez helmet.
but there is something to be said about merit, right? And we're experiencing
Yeah.
that now. And what happens when you live in a society?
Bringing
where
it
you're not-
back. We're bringing it back to America.
if you're not, taking the best and the best aren't earning it, and you're not having something to strive for, and you're not justifying that, okay, I understand why that person's the leader. They're smart. They know what they're doing. They've been successful. This makes sense, right? As opposed to, we're taking the bottom of the barrel, the most, like strange and abnormal and elevating that. That's very scary times. I think hopefully we've learned our lesson.
So John's Lombox is in the chat. Salty, have you been on John's show before?
I have not, but I would love to, man. I love
You
that
should
guy.
hit him
He's
up.
so dude, I love John. His is on the road. His book is on as soon as I get this done.
Heroic Tales.
It's
The
next in
rotation, the rotisserie.
Nice.
I've got it on my pile of books to read as well.
I'm like so backed up. It's not even funny. I'm backed up like I haven't eaten any fiber.
All right, what's the next category in which Gen Z is falling on its face, Craig? Oh yes, the Gam Jabbar test.
Right.
I mean,
Wait,
when
what is
I was
this?
when I was a teenager and the Bene Gesserit witch came up to me, I passed with flying colors. Salty, how about you?
Wait, I don't even know what this is.
That's from Dune.
From Doom?
Dune, putting
Dune.
put your hand in the box.
Dude,
and
I
then-
don't like Dune. I'm like the only guy that's ever read Dune that doesn't like Dune. Sorry.
All right, we will save this. Well, Craig, mental note. We'll
So
save this
when
joke
you
for
guys
next week.
saw when I saw Gom Jabbar, I was thinking of a trinket that you used to get in World of Warcraft called the Jom Gabar. It was like a trinket that would actually make you better on your rotation as a night elf hunter. So I don't even
All right.
I don't even remember because I read Dune in
Okay.
high school and I didn't like it, guys.
We're-
I'm sorry.
Craig,
is it?
we will save this joke for when all this is on. Okay,
Yes.
all this will be paralyzed with laughter.
Dude, I read it my junior year in high school. I did not like it. I love Lord of the Rings. I love Star Wars. Dune, although I was entertained by David Lynch's movie.
Love David
Dune.
Lynch is doing. Yes,
Yep.
wonderful.
I'm
All right,
sorry.
so we do a lot. We've been giving Gen X a hard time tonight, but there's one ray of hope. Next slide, please.
Oh, it was Jom Gabar. In World of Warcraft, it was Jom Gabar, so they switched the...
Okay.
Sorry.
So the ray of hope is, as you can see in these voting trends, that Gen Z is beginning to come around, sober up. They're beginning to look at their liberal boomer parents, and they're saying, "Mom and Dad, you all self-medicate, do your pot, dodge the draft, be losers. I'm gonna take care of my body, take care of my mind. I'm gonna have a family." Salty, do you see this as the central redeeming aspect of Gen Z?
Absolutely. I think that's why this is why I'm very positive on Gen Z. And I'm hoping and praying that Trump, the Christian church, and when I say Christian, I mean Protestant and Catholic, start to realize that we need to build a society for Gen Z to be able to go back to traditional values and the nuclear family, where women stay home making sandwiches, husbands go off to work, and everyone likes their country and their kids.
Craig, when you're sitting up there in Canada and you're looking at America, is it a better place when people are with their families, raising children, and grilling on the weekends? Is that America at its best?
Yes, absolutely, it is. For
That's
sure.
Canadian at its best.
Yeah, I mean, we have culture that's virtually inseparable from one another, right? Like your TV is our TV. All our trends, celebrities, everything, right?
Do it.
But,
I love Rush. Rush is the great
Yeah.
band.
I told you my Geddy Lee story, didn't I?
No, you're holding on. Tell us.
Everyone loves a Canadian rock band trio.
Share
One of
with
my
us your
friends
Geddy
brought me
Lee
to
story, my friend.
brought me to a Rush concert, and that was free tickets. We were like fifth row center. I got intoxicated beyond belief. And in any case, when he was doing what's his most famous song there?
Did you bask
Tom
in the
Sawyer?
limelight? Did you bask in the limelight?
Yes, but
My
Tommy,
fa-
I think Tommy is that one of the
No,
songs?
no, Tom Sawyer.
Tom Sawyer. There, yeah, that's
Yeah.
the one. So I was completely obliterated. I made eye contact with Geddy Lee, and he saw me, and then I puked all over the entire row in front of me. He was absolutely mortified.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and then my friends had to carry me out of there.
Oh.
I just would have loved if Neil Peart had written a song about you puking at a Rush concert and Geddy Lee later sang about, "Let me tell you something about Mad Ruth." I can't sing, but that would
It would have been called In the Vomit Stream.
In the Vomit
Stream,
yeah.
Vomit Stream.
Yes, serendipitous vomitorium. My favorite Rush song is Analog Kid, but there's got to be 20 of my most favorite songs have to be Rush songs. Out of my 1,000 favorite songs, easily 20 are Rush songs. So 150th. Rush is fantastic. But Analog Kid is my.
Did you guys ever see that episode of Chuck where the video game, where he had to play the video game and it was all about the Rush music, and once he got the mathematics down, he could beat the video game?
No, what season of Chuck was that? Any idea?
Oh,
I only
I'm
made it
looking
through
it up.
season 1 of Chuck. It was enjoyable, but I just wasn't clicking with me. But
Adam Baldwin, a conservative Republican, on the show. It was called Chuck versus Tom Sawyer.
okay, I will go find that. I mean, because I think it's on Amazon Prime. I think
Not
Chuck
a bad show. Fell apart after the third season. I feel it fell apart after the third season. Although I have mixed feelings because the simp never gets the girl, but Hollywood keeps telling that story about the simp getting the girl. And it's like, it's a more of a modern thing where back in the day it was like, no, the simp never gets the girl. Come on, man. The guy that does the right thing, the righteous thing, the good thing, the tough thing, the heroic thing gets the girl, not the simp. And I almost wonder, it's like left-wing Hollywood, are you trying to like weaken men? I think so.
In their minds, with their theory of large numbers, if they can just suppress the birth rate just a little bit in the great arc of history, they think they're fighting overpopulation. Those Malthusians.
What do you mean by fighting overpopulation, though?
In their scarcity Malthusian mindset, human beings are the problem, and so in their minds, anything they can do to trend down the birth rate, whether it be homosexuality, minor, the mutilation of minors, sterilization of minors, or let's encourage let's encourage unsuccessful relationships. Anything they can do that nets out a lower birth rate, they view as a positive good.
So basically, what you're saying is ball worship.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Moloch worship. Yeah. Okay.
There you
But
go.
it's already proven even.
No, I mean, is it different? Is it not the same thing?
One is preventing a birth. The other one is putting the child in a fiery pit.
Yeah. Same.
Yeah.
Tomato. Let's call the whole thing off.
But for most countries in the world right now, the birth rate's 1.3, 1.7. So there's already a downward trend that we're having less and less kids. Yeah.
Yeah, but everyone fits on Maui.
What's that?
Everyone fits on Maui. Literally everyone fits on Maui, guys. Like, you could have a concert where the concert would be on the water, right? And then everyone could listen to that concert and be shoulder to shoulder on Maui. And what I mean by everybody is, I mean everybody on the freaking planet
7 billion people
can be on Maui.
But wouldn't the Earth like tip then?
Well, it might capsize. Guam might capsize. I don't know.
All right, Craig. I think we're all in agreement here that that we still have hope for Gen Z, and what we will certainly keep an eye on this topic, because there's going to be more breaking news throughout 2025 with regards to Gen Z. What is topic number 2 tonight?
Gen Z does seem to be a reoccurring theme. So our next one here comes from UPI. Drug addicted rats are destroying evidence in a Houston police locker. So, reading through this story, they said they got 450,000 pounds of marijuana.
450,000 pounds.
Salty,
crap!
Salty, is this the weirdest extrapolation of the Dog Ate My Homework that you've ever heard?
I think that's beyond the Dog Ate My Homework. I mean, the only way that this happens is if your city's run by Democrats. I'm sorry. That is the only way this happens. They are that inept, everybody. Southern California is gone. LA is gone. Okay. So in LA, it's gone. There's no more LA. It has been burnt to the ground. And in Houston, again, run by Democrats, apparently they can't even hold evidence because the damn rats are eating it all because they're high on cocaine.
Craig, what do you think after the first $100,000 of drugs goes missing, they'd maybe like buy rat traps? What do you think? Philbo.
Oh my God.
Nice.
Philbo Baggins is Gen X. I can tell.
Yeah. Craig, what do you think? At what point does somebody say, I'm putting the hammer down, enough of this nonsense with the rats getting here, eating the evidence. We're gonna spackle up the cracks in the wall. We're gonna get some rat traps. What do you think?
What's weird is it's even up in a skyscraper, right? So like it's elevated. It's like on the 20th floor or something. What I think happened is when they brought in the drug seizure, the rats were already in some of the bricks when they brought them in, and then it just infested the vault.
I mean, maybe tent the building. I just for thinking out loud, maybe, I don't know, move the drugs and
like, do you need to keep drugs as evidence? Is it really necessary? Like, once you've proven,
So Salty, was this the third or fourth Cheech and Chong movie where this happened? I can't remember. What do you recall?
No, I don't even know what to say to that. My thing is like, maybe build a society where people don't need to do escapism and get high just to avoid the pain that you're inflicting on them through terrible Democrat policies. I don't know.
So you're saying if there's a mass incidence of self-medication, there's an underlying trigger, and we need to fix the root cause.
Like libertarians are like legalize drugs, and I'm like maybe fix society first and then legalize drugs, because good God, people are medicating through pornography and illicit drugs because you have created a society that is so shitty that they need to self-medicate.
So Craig, if you're a Hollywood producer and I come in and I'm a scriptwriter, I got an idea to pitch for you. I got an idea to pitch. It's like Ocean's 11, but instead of stealing the money out of a bank vault, they destroy the evidence to clear the drug kingpin because there's no evidence. Would you say there's no, would you greenlight that? Would you greenlight that idea, that pitch? Or would you say, get the hell out of here and go get back to your comic books, buddy?
Yeah, get back to your comic books. That one's not gonna fly.
No, dude, you guys have just come up with the best animated movie of 2028, and that is rats that are going to do a bank heist to get the sweet herb, stinky herb. It's like Ocean's 11 meets what is it? Nim, the Disney with the rats, and then
National Institute of Mental Health.
Dude, it's like the best thing ever, man. It's like
So,
the greatest animated movie ever.
But
Call it
just
the American Tale too. Or
just hear
something
me
like
out. The camera pans into a dark
Three.
room. The camera pans into a dark room, and there's a schematic of the building, and they're sitting there scratching their heads like, how are we going to get into the evidence locker? How are we going to destroy the evidence? How? And someone goes, I got an idea. And then
Send
in the
rats.
and then it's like and then we would get an approximate of the Mission Impossible music. We wouldn't rip it out, but din, 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 and there's like rats going through the little mazes, and like these rats, we've tricked them to go to the third floor now. 4 more floors or whatever, and they'll be there. We can deliver it. And then they're stuck. They're like, okay, we've done calculations, and 1 rat can eat a pound of marijuana. So it would take, we need 100,000 rats. We're never going to be able to smuggle in 100,000 rats. So this other guy goes, we send a guy a rat and a girl rat. And within 40 days, there's 100,000 rats because they'll keep breeding. And it's like, din, 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 din.
I just found your lead too. You know who your lead is in this movie, right? Crispin Glover, Willard 2. Willard 2.
The quest for.
All right, Craig,
Yes.
are you disappointed that after eating all these drugs and mutating that none of the rats got superpowers? Is that really the biggest disappointment in the story?
That is, yeah. That would be the perfect arc for this. Is absolutely they take over the building or something to that effect. Yeah, for sure. They did get in the mushrooms too.
There you go. So, Salty, what do you think really happened to the drugs? I mean, really?
Well, I mean, you're talking about a Democrat-run city with a police department. So the obvious choice is that they all used the drugs on their own and were getting high and probably selling it back into the community and making money. Because let's stop pretending like the police department in a Democrat-run city isn't just another gang, but with the blessing of the mayor.
Mm-hmm.
Because at the end of the day, I'm from LA, everybody. Fuck the police and also the Democrats.
All right. Craig, what is topic number 3 tonight?
So, 54 minutes in, third and final topic for the evening comes to us from Bleeding Fool. And there's a nice little Mike Barron, Sherlock Holmes Leviathan. I haven't back there yet.
Yeah.
Maybe we can get him back on the show. He was a guest once.
But you guys are so late. That's like past his bedtime, man.
Yeah.
We'd have to pre-record it.
Mike Barron actually helps out on Sounds Do Good, everybody. You guys should check it out.
So, monopoly to malfeasance, looking at Diamond Distribution's bankruptcy. So, at one point, Diamond Distribution did have a monopoly on the LCSs. They were pretty much the only ones putting the books in the LCS. If you didn't go through Diamond, you weren't getting your books coast to coast. But this is a chapter 11, so they're not completely done. They're hoping to be bought out, I think, by someone and to scale back. But at this point, DC's left them, Marvel's left them. After this latest Chapter 11, Image has now pulled out it, so they don't have any big name comics anymore that they'll be distributing.
So this is not the worst tragedy from COVID in terms of human disasters. This is not the worst tragedy of COVID, but this is the one that stings the most for those of us who love comic books. Diamond did some things right, did other things poorly. However, they effectively did have that monopoly. And not only did they have a monopoly for 25 some years, they also had a non-returnable monopoly. So it was always the head scratcher for me. How do you go into debt if you've got 60-day terms, and if the retailers are on a 30-day terms, and the publishers are on 60-day terms, and you're the only one distributing comic books, and you control how many warehouses you have, how do you lose money? So, Salty, do you think there was something else going on here? Or you think this was just entropy setting in? What are your thoughts?
I have a lot. I don't like Diamond Distribution. I think what they did to the small mom and pop comic book shop over the last 2 decades this is just chickens coming home to roost, in my opinion. I think that they treated comic book shops, brick and mortar comic book shops, like crap. I think that the way that they structured their business and the way that they would sell to them was really, really it started off great, but then they got a monopoly because they were doing such a great job, and then they kind of turned on everybody. And because they had a monopoly, that not only turned on the mom and pop shops, but they also turned on DC, Marvel, and Image, and Dark Horse, and others. And this is, dude, when you're that crappy, and then you have something like COVID happen, and everyone cannot wait to get out of business with you, it's kind of like, I don't feel sorry for you. Because if COVID happens and you're like the most legit business, and you're doing right by Marvel and DC, and you're doing right by everyone else, and you have that kind of monopoly, you don't lose your business during COVID. That people aren't waiting to get away from you. You know what I mean?
What was crazy is Steve Jeppy and Diamond, their rationale was they couldn't figure out which stores would be allowed to be open. So therefore, they couldn't figure out the logistics of what books to ship where. So they just did tools down.
Yeah.
And it's crazy. And Craig, you're a bit younger than me. So what happened is about 1994. Before 1990, from the early 80s to about 1994, there were like 10 distributors of comic books: Capital City, and Diamond, a bunch of other regional distributors. What happened was Marvel Comics decided they were going to cut out the middleman, and they bought like the 4th largest distributor, Heroes World. And they tried to vertically integrate, and it was a train wreck. It was a complete train wreck. Mm-hmm. But when that happened, DC Comics said, you know what? If Marvel's going to change the rules of the game and go vertically integrated and do exclusive through Heroes World, we better find a dance partner for ourselves. And it was either going to be Capital City or Diamond. For whatever reason, maybe it was because Diamond was on the East Coast, they went with Diamond. At that point, the other like the Dark Horses and things like that said, well, Marvel is exclusive with their own company, Heroes World. We're going to go with Diamond because they're not owned by DC. And that was the point in which DC had effectively that monopoly. And Marvel, being dipshits, let Heroes World go off the rails. Heroes World completely ground to a halt, and they ended up having to go back to Diamond. So Diamond was a monopoly by sheer accident and folly. But
was it by accident and folly though? Because weren't they doing a lot of stuff to undermine some of the smaller distributors and independent ones?
What would happen?
They became too big to fail, and they just bought it big enough for the market share.
What happened was it was the exclusivity deals about 1994. It was the exclusivity deals where the other distributors, Diamond basically said, well, if Marvel's going to change the game and go exclusive, then you have to sign an exclusive deal with Diamond. Because what had happened is from the mid 80s until the early 90s, there was a bit of a game that was being played by the more shady retailers. What they would do is they would get into arrears with like, say, Capital City, and they'd say, you know what, I'm not going to work with Capital City. I'm going to go to Diamond. So they get a fresh line of credit, as it were. And so they'd start getting books from Diamond, even though they hadn't paid their Capital City bill, right? So there was some shadiness that was happening and some bad practices. Diamond, given the situation Diamond was in 1994, they made the right decisions because Marvel changed the rules of the game. But over time, Diamond, in terms of their order limits, their order cutoff limits, and some other things, they eventually kind of stifled a lot of the creativity in the direct market. Things were ebbing and flowing. There was some boom busts and things like that. Diamond did not start as the bad guy, but over time they became complacent as a monopoly. They went along with the stuff that Marvel was doing, where you to get a certain discount, you had to order certain books, even though you couldn't sell them. Things like that.
Special covers and stuff you need.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where I know, because it's like, 94, I was a wee lad, so I don't even know what was going on, and history didn't count before then. So
exactly. But what's kind of funny, what's kind of not kind of funny, but what's kind of interesting in terms of history is that it was DC throwing their weight behind Diamond that made Diamond the monopoly. And then when Diamond ineptly handled the Fauci lockdowns, that's the point at which DC said, you know what, this is crazy. If you're not going to do business with us, we're going to figure something else out. That made them go to.
But do you ultimately think that, like, Marvel and DC deciding to make terrible comics and allow really terrible, horrible women who should have, who were unmarriable and probably, should have been raised better to, be wives and make sandwiches, took over Marvel and DC and started making crappy comics was really the nail in the coffin for Diamond?
So in my worldview, it is. The market is self-correcting to the point to the extent that if a publisher does something that nobody wants, they're going to be punished by the ledger. The general ledger is going to, the balance sheet is going to punish them, right? Mm-hmm. What was insidious about what happened the past 5 or 6 years was that Marvel and DC were small bureaus within larger conglomerates. So the losses were hidden, right? So if Marvel or DC were standalone P&L statements, they would have cut this nonsense out like a long time ago, or the nonsense would have lasted just like a month and then ended, right? But because they were essentially these R&D appendages, they were allowed to get away with what they were doing for so long. And so I don't blame Diamond for the content that Marvel and DC was publishing. I blame Warner Brothers and Disney for allowing this to continue, because the margins were so small that on the larger P&L statement, they got away with printing books
Losses.
That nobody wanted to buy.
Right.
Yeah.
And even though the losses are in the millions and we're all like, this is crazy compared to making a blockbuster movie that fails, it's pennies.
Yeah.
They really didn't care. Yeah.
So I think what is going to, in my opinion, what's going to happen is that I've often said that the crowdfunding is a way for the North American comic book industry to go towards the European model, where in your example, Salty, you're going to get 1 or 2 beautiful Graham Nolan books a year. They're going to be thicker than a floppy, and you're going to look forward to them, and you're going to shell a little more money for them. Marvel and DC can't do that. So I think this is going to be another shift of the retailers to saying, you know what, this monthly paradigm of these crap floppies is not working. What do people want? And what people want is things like Band of the Crow, Soul Tack, Jupiter, and Silence Dogood.
Jump in there as well. So
Yeah.
I'm heavily on eBay. So when it comes to the secondary market, like, the turnaround on a lot of my indie comics is impressive. I'd say out of all the books I list, out of every 5, I sell one of them. For sure.
Nice.
And I mean, I crank the price up on those. So I just, if I'm willing to part with it, I don't need to keep it, throw it on eBay for a crazy amount of money. Somebody wants it, they can have it. So that's also a great thing to indie comics, is the resale value is incredible.
Sure.
Turnaround. But
all right. Well, speaking of beautiful indie comics, let's take a look at Silence Dogood.
Okay.
Yeah. So before we start, however, I do have the trailer. So I'm gonna.
You gotta get the latest right here. Yeah. Jimmy Reyes cover, issue 3 out.
I'm gonna
go.
Pull it up as soon as I play the trailer. But here it is, 86 watching. Here's a trailer for Silence Dogood. Very cool. I dig that music.
I do love that trailer. Not gonna lie.
Here we go. And here's your campaign.
Boom. Backer
Yeah, I got a
one.
lot of stuff coming out right now. I got issue 3, Silence Dogood. There's a cover that I recently did. You guys can see it back here. Of a novel called Shameless Liars by Larry
Give you
O'Connor.
full screen. Okay, there you go.
Oh yeah,
Nice.
look at that. Look at that.
Very cool.
It's a nonfiction book called Don't Get Me Off the Screen.
Oh, sorry.
I think right there. And then I got a cover coming out for Cody Dennison's comic book, Ride and Die or Drive and Die.
Nice.
And then Helephant, my cover of Helephant's coming out soon too. Ethan Van
Yes.
Sciver's Helephant.
How many issues of that? Do you know how many sold that cover?
I don't know actually.
No.
I just know that he was very happy, and apparently a lot of people liked that cover, and it was fun drawing. Let me tell you, because I like drawing elephants. No joke.
All right. So I have your campaign up right now, and as for the numbers, so let me put the
Canadian. Who
currency up
uses Canadian dollars?
2,489 with 83 backers. So let's see if we can't give this thing up some love today. We'll give it a bump.
Yeah, guys.
Is there anywhere you would like me to go to in this campaign? Just let me know.
Oh yeah, I would say there's a lot of new artwork since last I've been here, so probably just scroll down because issue 3's got some really fun artwork. So this has been a book that I've been working on for the last like 4 years. I used to be full-time, like my full-time job was a creative director working in Hollywood in entertainment advertising. So this book has taken me a really painfully long time, or this series has taken me a really painfully long time to draw. And since I wasn't drawing every day, it was taking a long time. But now we're like cranking them out way faster, and issue 3's artwork is way better than it was in issue 1 because I'm actually drawing every day now, and it's a lot of fun. So I've been having a lot of fun making it. I'm working on issue 4 that's going to be coming out hopefully by the end of the year. In between then, though, I'm going to be coming out with another comic book based off of a fiction novel series called People's Republic. That's going to be dope. You guys should have me back on for that one because you guys all are going to like that one.
For sure.
For sure.
Oh, that's cool.
You guys will have to find this last page, though. You're going to have to find this one's a little bit of an Easter egg, this last page right here. I gave it away because it's my favorite page.
No, it's beautiful.
Is that the redcoats coming for some taxes? And
yeah, so I'll be honest, I took a little liberties on the history. Those technically should be Hessians in like kind of gray coats, but it's not as iconic. So I went ahead and went with the redcoats because that's the British, not the Hessian mercenaries that were hired by the British to patrol the streets. But this is actually them kind of falling into Trenton, New Jersey on Christmas Eve. And if you know America's history, Trenton, New Jersey, Christmas Eve was a big kind of a big deal because the next day on Christmas, or the night of Christmas, Washington was like, let's cross the Delaware over to Trenton, New Jersey and kill all the British and then arrest Ben Franklin's son, the governor of New Jersey.
Nice. So we've got 90 people watching live, and we just watched the trailer. But can you give the people, the 90 people watching, the elevator pitch? Let's pretend they didn't get issues 1 and 2. What's the elevator pitch? What's the premise behind Silence
All
Jukebox?
right. So the premise behind this is a 19-year-old Benjamin Franklin who is on the verge of becoming one of America's most prolific, well, about 20, 30 years before he becomes one of America's most prolific figures, is kidnapped and trapped inside of kidnapped by time travelers, and then trapped inside a VR program that is run by an artificial intelligence and controlled by a tech CEO who is trying to take over the world. And little does he know that AI is actually undermining everything, because that AI is trying to become a god, or thinks that it's God, and is trying to create a better, more benevolent society. And Ben Franklin finds this abhorrent, because that AI is basically trying to strip humanity of its free will. And Ben Franklin, being the pro-liberty guy that he is like, no, I'm going to stop you, because that is abhorrent and terrible. Thus, the adventure starts with lasers, robots, social media companies, tech giants, and time travel.
Love it. Love it. And for those in this era of social media where you have people trolling people, can you tell everybody a little bit behind the meaning of the Silence Dogood? What, in terms of a moniker, in terms of a screen name, as it were, tell us a little bit about that.
So you read issue 1. Thank you. Because in issue 1, you will learn about the name Silence Dogood. And people go, oh, Silence Dogood, that was that Nick Cage movie where they stole the Constitution. And Silence Dogood was like, So Silence Dogood was the pen name of Benjamin Franklin. He was a 16-year-old who was really good at trolling everybody and was really good with the written word. And he decided to write as an anonymous old elderly lady that was a widow, that would do an advice column. And he started slipping these letters underneath his brother's newspaper's door. And literally his brother was like, oh, this 65-year-old widow, or whatever, like 55 or whatever, she was an old lady, is writing me these letters, giving this advice to the town. This is great. So he started publishing them. So he started writing all these little letters to the town, and it was like an advice column, but also he would talk trash and troll people in the town and be like, oh, straight up just talking shit. So he was the first troll in American history. So we have X. Before X, it was Twitter. But before all of that, we had Ben Franklin. And he went and he did it as Silence Dogood.
In the colonial newspapers. One of my favorite Silence Dogood articles is she proclaims that women should pay like 3 times the taxes for the roads, because their dresses and their dresses are so wide and big that they take up more space in the road, and therefore they should pay more than the men. And
you know what the modern version of that is? You know what the modern version of that is? Fatties have to pay more to fly. Fatties have to pay more to fly.
So obviously, if Benjamin Franklin's dropped into some sort of dystopian, totalitarian environment, he's going to do what Ben Franklin does, and hence there's the conflict, there's the adventure, and what's great about this is that he's at his heart he's Ben Franklin, but he's the younger version. And also you get to play with the idea of like, what's his core impulse viscerally, what is he going to do in this kind of situation? And you've got the arc of who he becomes as an elder statesman, and his adventures as a revolutionary, as an inventor, as a statesman, as a lawgiver. But it's interesting to see the younger, more brash version. And I love he's got a certain bit of cockiness to him, which
he's completely cocky. Because if you read the history of Ben Franklin and you read about him, my imagination always goes to, oh, he was totally cocky as a teenager. And then life experiences, having things happen to you, falling in love, getting tricked into going to England, losing the girl that you loved to another man, because you had to leave, blah, blah, blah. These are things that might humble you. These are things that might change your persona and make you the Ben Franklin that he became. So the fun that I'm having writing this and then doing the art is imagining what he was like before he was the Ben Franklin that we know, the scientist, the celebrated scientist, the celebrated inventor, the celebrated statesman. And I imagined him as being capable, intelligent, smart, but also, less experienced and a bit brash, a bit cocky, and a bit too sure of himself. So
I gotta ask this page here. Did you draw this President Newton there? Did you draw this when Biden was giving that speech?
Oh yeah. I'm not gonna be I'm not gonna be one of these people that's like, oh, I don't inject my politics into my book. No, I don't ever put politics ahead of the story. The story is always the horse that leads the cart. Absolutely, you got to tell a good story. But I have my values, and my values get poured into my fiction. It's inevitable. And my values are what they are, and they're pro-American, pro-patriotic. So this is a pro-American, pro-patriotic book. And also it is my social commentary on what is happening in our society today, because I wanted to write, so a lot of Hollywood is making a lot of they're taking superheroes and deconstructing them, right? I mean, The Boys was a comic book that became a hit show on Amazon, and it's deconstructing, our Greek gods. And that's been happening through Irredeemable, the comic series. So this is my version of deconstruction, whatever the term is, deconstructing the left or deconstructing Hollywood, which I spent 20 years working in. Deconstructing social media, deconstructing the way, the direction the company, the company, or the country, Freudian slip, is going. And so that's why I'm injecting what I see, and it is my version of what I see and how I see it. And then I'm using Ben Franklin as that vessel to tell that story, because I absolutely love Ben Franklin, and he is my favorite founding father, and I think our most prolific founding father, and the most interesting.
Definitely. For me, it's a tie between him and Jefferson. But Craig, Craig, something you should know as a Canadian, something you should know is that what makes Silence Dogood, there's another level to Silence Dogood that's really intriguing and interesting. And what it stems from is that Benjamin Franklin was never formally educated. He was self-taught, and because he had to go actually research things, so Benjamin Franklin never had the luxury of paying tuition to have a professor tell him how the world works. He had to figure it out for himself. So he had to read everything, he had to test everything, he had to double check everything, because he didn't have a degree. He had to be very careful and measured in his words, because he had to make sure everything he said was actually true, that it was scientifically valid or historically valid. Because he didn't have a diploma, he was always at risk for the elite in society of poo-pooing him or ridiculing him and so forth. So because he had to do his actual homework, he was more grounded than the elite. So what's great about this book is that he goes to this future with this this extreme version of a Harvard educated Silicon Valley elite who think they know everything about how the world can be reorganized and how it can be top down. And that's completely at odds with his reality as a self-made man. And I think that's another level to Silence Dogood that just makes it that much more enjoyable and intriguing.
Well, yeah. Wow, you sell it better than I do, man.
There you go. So we got 93 people watching live. We are in the first week of a new golden age here in America. And what better way to kind of commemorate that than to look at one of the gentlemen who helped this country get a fresh start, who started the first abolition society, who was a fantastic inventor, who wrote some wonderful proverbs and gathered folklore in the Poor Richard's Almanac, who is a man who helped shepherd through the Declaration of Independence, was our ambassador to France and so forth. Just a fantastic character. What better way?
Yeah, our ambassador to France, who actually just was so keen and so shrewd and a bit manipulative and really got France to help finance the war against the British Empire for our independence. One of the cool things in each issue that you get too is you get a little 3-paragraph history lesson that is written about the 4th grade level. And my father, who's a historian, actually writes these. I don't write them because my father is actually the historian in the family, which I love. So I get to work with my dad, which is great. So he writes those history lessons. So which is honestly, every time, working with my father about this, I get to learn a lot, even though myself, I know a lot about American history because I grew up in a family where, my father's a historian and knows American history really well. But those lessons are there for everyone to learn, because what I want to do is I want to, while it's a fun, silly, fictional story, I do want people to read them and fall in love with American history, because one of my passions is to bring that back to people, because it's something that's kind of missing right now. Like there's a lack of pride, there's a lack of interest, there's a lack of excitement, and it really is kind of an exciting time. It's an exciting story, our American history, our liberation, the fact that Canada always likes to say and claim that they burned down the White House. And then I get to, in Silence Dogood, correct the story that Canada was so weak and so fragile and so flaccid that they weren't able to even march on American soil. And it was actually Big Daddy England that burned down the White House, not Canada. And I get to correct that, I get to correct that for Canada, and I get to reestablish that for America.
If Andrew Jackson had been on the Potomac, they would not have been able to get up there to the White House.
It's true. It is true.
How long has my camera been screwed up here?
I thought you were just deep in thought, buddy.
I thought you were like, what? No, we didn't burn down the White. No, Canada never burnt down the White House.
Give me a couple minutes. I'm gonna have to jump out sometime.
Difficulties.
Every Canadian's always like, we burnt down the White House. Yeah. No. No, you did not. Unless Canada hopped on a boat, went to England, got off the boat, got back on a new boat, and then crossed back over, then maybe, but also no. Canada, no. And you will be our province. You will be our province. As it was foretold in Fallout, you will be our province.
So this is issue 3. How many issues do you have planned?
I have 13 issues planned for the first story, to play out the first story. However, I'm thinking that so most of the issues are about 24 to 32 pages. I think I'm going to start doing 48 pages for everything, because I want to crank them out faster. Yeah. So it might be less than 13 issues. However, I have a plan for a very long time to do this. So, and the way that it's been going, I think we're going to be able to do it for quite a while, which I'm excited about. One of the things I really kind of want to do, and I'm going to give a sneak peek to your audience, is I actually eventually am going to phase out Ben Franklin, and I'm going to kind of do a Doctor Who thing, or one of my favorite shows is Death in Paradise. So kind of do the thing where I phase out the main hero and then bring in a new American patriot or American historical figure to bring them in as the central kind of hero. So Ben Franklin will kind of retire and go off into the sunset. And then maybe I'll bring in like Nikola Tesla, or like, I don't know, somebody else, Thomas Jefferson, maybe, perhaps.
Cool.
Thomas Paine. Just Ben Franklin. It's going to be hard because Ben Franklin, Booker T. Washington might be a really good one, right? Because he would actually be a really good follow-up, like another inventor. Because Ben Franklin had to be the guy, because he's a scientist, he's an inventor, he's a printer, he's a writer, he's a spy. So it's going to have to be that kind of character. But, I think it would be kind of fun, like who's the next guy?
Nice.
So turn that that speech you're doing. I was fixing my computer. I felt a lot like my country right now. But
So do you want to bring up the campaign? Let's see where we landed here.
I want to bring up a couple other things. So for
Yeah.
starters, and hopefully this doesn't screw up my camera. So here's Salty's YouTube channel. He's got what 50.
Oh, you got to go to the Salty and Savage show though, because that's the better YouTube channel.
Did you put a link for that in the chat?
I think I
function?
did actually in the private chat. Let me double check. Yeah, I did. It's the
Okay.
first
Thank
link
you,
in the private
Vulcan.
chat.
Thank you.
Yeah, those are just my trailers, like, you know, and then an animation that I did for 47 Ronin, the movie.
Yeah. So-
if you guys aren't familiar with, you can check that
Yeah.
out. But you know,
I pulled that out. I don't know if you wanted to watch it now, but
oh, don't, because you will get copyright struck because
Oh, will
Sony does not mess around.
okay, good to know.
But yeah,
somebody
so I used to
subscribe your
work in
channel,
entertainment advertising. I did a lot of stuff. You know, I worked on. I'm the guy that came up with the idea for Deadpool as Bob Ross as a
Nice.
commercial. Worked in that industry for like 20 years. You know, so that was an animation that I was really proud of because it was 3 guys. It was me drawing and directing, and then another guy animating, and then another guy doing sound design. So I had to put that up, but you can't watch that on the stream because Sony will be like, or no, Universal, they'll be like, no, cancel.
So
You're
I've been joking with Craig here that we should set up a Rumble channel so that we can like watch the movie Stunt Rock. And so maybe when we do that, we'll watch your Ronin clip.
Oh, Vulcan Live says back to issue 3. Thanks, man. Everyone back issue 3. Issue 3 is better than issue 1 or 2. I promise you, because I actually wrote issues 1 through 3 as in a complete story. And it should be told as a complete story.
Nice.
Should we get, but Jimmy Reyes cover. Jimmy Reyes, guys. Come on.
Nice.
Comic King. Jimmy Reyes cover. It's really, really good. Yeah, Salty and Savage Show. We do a weekly podcast where we talk about culture and stuff. And the cool thing is like Savage is like my co-host. He worked for Extra for many years as a producer. And then I worked in Hollywood for a long, long time.
You both
So
survived.
we talk about a lot of pop culture, what's going on in Hollywood, and we give you a behind the scenes. Because you know, like when like Quartering or you know, the other day, I'm sorry, I'm gonna talk trash, guys. But like Gothics and Melanie Mac and the Quartering were kind of trying to talk behind the scenes, like, oh, this is what happened. It's like, and they're like, sorry, some of the other people, they talk about like, oh, this is what's going on in movies. Do you know though? Because you've never worked in that industry. Me and Savage have actually worked in that industry for a long time. So we're kind of like Savage is more on he's like a left-leaning libertarian and I'm like a right-leaning conservative libertarian. And so you get our perspective, which is from 2 guys that literally worked in the industry for a really long time. Like really
Worked
long
in it
time.
and survived it.
Yeah. Got canceled. We both got canceled. I got canceled. I got my show canceled. I had a show that I sold to a major Hollywood studio. They got canceled the year that Trump got elected, 2016, because they were like, no, we cannot have you doing a show for us because we are going DEI and woke.
Hey, Craig, scroll up just like a little bit.
Yeah, I know. I saw the one here, episode 20.
Hey, look at that guy. You know,
Yeah,
look at that
Jason
guy
Sandberg
there.
was a guest on our show.
What class
We will.
acts you have
You
on
know
your
what
show?
would be good is actually to have both of you on this coming year.
Yeah.
Because with
sure.
with a 4-panel, we could watch some movie trailers and talk about some stuff,
That'd be cool.
which I think would be a lot of fun. A lot of fun.
No, I'm definitely in for sure.
We'll do that.
I think it would be a great show. We had a great show with Jason. Like our audience got to learn because like I grew up loving comic books. Like I'm a like late 80s 90s kid. Like that's when I collected comic books the most. Jason's like this big brained like walking encyclopedia of comic books. So when he came on, he got to educate our entire audience of like, you know, 20 people, but whatever. Of comic books, and it was so great because it was just like, okay, so we just started like throwing stuff at him and he was just like, well, blah 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 blah, and like Wolverine, and it's just like we got to have him back because I love comic books, but Jason knows comic books. Like he knows comic books.
Thank you. Courtney's Fellowship of Oddballs. Good to see you. Good to see you. Happy Friday. Have a great weekend.
So
Craig, can you bring up the campaign? Let's see where we landed here.
That's exactly what I was just about to say. So some exciting things about this show, what we always basically pride ourselves on and enjoy with this show. We try to get it out in the indie community that if you're a creator out there, you got to come on our show. We're always trying to get that hat trick, that Friday night bump. We do that hockey term, right? The hat trick. So we started off with 83 backers, 83 on this campaign, always striving to get 3 more. If we can just,
Philbo, thank you. Thank you, sir.
So let's see.
After we trash Gen Z for a half hour, thank you, Philbo.
And bam, there you go. 80,
I'm
86.
positive on Gen Z. I'm hoping for Gen Z, man. Come on.
Whoa, what happened to the campaign?
All right. We started. Where did we go here? We were at
87 backers.
87 backers. We
Hey,
started.
there
We
we
got
go.
4 backers tonight.
That's
Fantastic.
right. The Friday night's bump is raw. It's raw. It's raw.
Nice.
I
thank you
appreciate
so
that.
much.
Give my wife something to do tomorrow besides making me sandwiches.
Craig,
I'm excited for issue 3.
You know what we need to do, Craig? I need to make a little animated clip that's like a little bumper. This the Friday night fist bump, and when the 2 fists go together, it says backed. I'll
There
work
you
on
go.
it. We'll workshop that. But I think there's something there.
Dude, I want to see my cover. My Silence Do Good up there. You got Phenomenova. I raised more money than Vaughn. Come on.
Yeah,
although he's a cool kid. I like that guy.
He's a
man.
good guy. I mean, he gives me hope for the future.
No,
But,
he's great. No, I'm not. I'm talking trash, but not really because I like him. Like,
yeah, after I do Jupiter issue 2, I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna do some more animation, and I will put Silence to Do Good in that parade of fantastic.
you know what? I'm gonna give you the volume 1 cover because the volume 1 coming out.
Nice.
Oh yeah.
Nice.
Oh, yeah.
All right, everybody. I will throw the link for the gutter in the chat. So as you get through every week, Craig throws the craziest outros. At the end of the stick around for the outros, and then after that, you can go head over to the gutter. Tell them the Friday night sent you. Tonight they're covering. What are they covering tonight?
What's the gutter?
The gutter is Aldous and JP's show, and what they'll do is they try to cover something that they actually like. Because right now there's kind of a cottage industry of people talking about stuff they don't like. These guys will give something a fair shot, and they'll talk about stuff that they like. And,
well, you know what we have? We have left wing culture. So left wing culture is let's make beautiful art and then inject our left wing weird politics into that beautiful art. And then right wing culture is let's complain about the left wing culture and then let's all fight amongst each other like drunk teenage girls at a party where we just got dumped by Chad.
That's right.
Yeah. Is that accurate? Is that accurate?
Yeah, there's some truth there. There's some truth there.
The one time I got on the gutter with Aldous, it was hard because Aldous likes 80s and back. He doesn't like to touch stuff that hits in the 90s. And I felt
really?
My golden age of comics was the 90s, right? It was Image.
Oh
90s.
yeah.
But what did he let me on? I think he let me on with Todd McFarlane's Spider-Man run because I've got the complete 1 to 18. I think he was like, okay, I'll let you come on with that. Once he realized that, you know what, Soul Pack, I can definitely tell you took a lot of the paneling from Todd. I was like, yeah, I did. So,
you did?
Yeah, I'm big Todd.
I thought you were saying that about me because I was like, yes, I did.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, I did.
I love, yeah. Well, I mean, he revolutionized the panel layout. He really did.
Him and Rob Liefeld. I mean, I like to give credit to Liefeld too, who apparently has me blocked on X, and I have no idea why. I must have said something, and he automated something or whatever.
I made fun of Jimmy Palmiotti the other day. I don't know if you've seen that. I called him a name.
Oh, really? But like 1989. I'm 9 years old, right? Everyone knows my age now. And I'm getting Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man, 1, and that changed my life, man.
Yep.
Like I went from like Scrooge McDuck and Donald Duck comic books, which I loved, to like Batman,
Gold Keys,
to like Batman, which I destroyed and didn't like those as much, to Todd McFarlane's Amazing Spider-Man, and that wrecked me, dude. I became a comic book fanatic, dude. And I like, because like McFarlane inspires so many people. Like one of my favorite artists is Joe Mad, who obviously ripped off Todd McFarlane, right? And I like to try to. I'm still like looking for my own style, my own art style, because I never want to like copy anybody. But layout wise, dude, Like the 90s is where, for me, that's where it's at.
Yep. Likewise.
There's
Yeah.
fantastic energy in that 90s stuff.
Yeah.
So I just checked, and on the gutter tonight, they're talking about the Goon, the series The Goon. So
Okay.
looking forward to
Wait, the
crashing
hockey
into-
movie?
No, the comic book.
Oh, the comic book. Oh, yeah. I never read that. Is that a good book?
I've only picked up an issue or two. It never clicked with me, but that Eric Powell art is kind of it's got
The
a
art's
charm to it.
great.
Yeah. He's like that brawler that, you know.
Yeah, but
Like
I've never read a
Popeye style
book, but
brawler.
I always liked the art. I always looked at it and was like,
Yeah.
oh, that looks interesting. But
Yeah. All right, Salty. Thank you for coming on. Come back for issue 4, obviously. And we'll obviously come on the Salty and Savage show. Those of you that are hanging out, Craig, as usual, is going to give us the zaniest outro. I look forward to seeing what he's got up his sleeve. Buckle in. It's always crazy. After this, go watch The Gutter. Tell them the Friday Night sent you, and everybody have a fantastic weekend. This is the first weekend of the new American Golden Age. Make the most of it. Make the most of it.
Yeah. 100 people watching. Thank you so much. and
thank
have a
you
good-
thank you guys for having me. Thank you all for tolerating me, and I appreciate being here, man. Really, truly. You guys are just fun to hang out with. We gotta like do a meetup one time at a Comic-Con.
Yeah, I got to get my passport. Or maybe I won't need to. Maybe.
Yeah, you'll be 51st state.
There you go.
Or
No,
so-
they will
Salty,
never be a state. They will always be a province. We can't give them voting rights.
Territory.
So there's what it's 10 provinces and 3 territories. So do they get 13, 26 senators?
as
Or
many
I
seats
don't-
as California.
No, they become a territory like Puerto Rico. F that crap. You ain't voting. Okay? We need to repeal the 19th and the 26th Amendment already. We don't need Canada voting.
All right.
All right.
Cheers,
Have a great-
everybody. Have a fantastic weekend. Thank you.
Be relevant, you have to be consistent. Even people that don't get damages from Diamond, when the conversation comes up, they talk about damages with Diamond because they've heard it so much, their brain thinks they've had damages.
You're going to cancel all of the retailers that have a current order with Diamond through initial order. Lunar doubled and tripled their monthly rates to keep your discount tier. We need to make sure people are still getting comic books. I'd like to see somebody like Todd McFarlane, Robert Kirkman, step up to the plate and say, guys, I know we got a lot of petty squabbles. We got millions of dollars sitting on the table owed to these people and that people and these people, but we need to make sure that 1,200 comic book stores is 1,201 tomorrow.
Here's a joke. How many ex-girlfriends does it take to screw in a light bulb? Jessica, please come back. I don't know how to change a light bulb.
You're probably wondering, why am I staring at a light? And that's because I'm going to show you how to properly change a light bulb. So the first thing that people do wrong is they grab for the light bulb when it's on, and that is stupid because it's hot, and if it's been on for a while, it's going to burn. So the very first thing you got to do is got to turn off that light and go touch the light bulb, make sure it's not hot. If it's hot, let it cool down. Once it's cooled down, unscrew the light bulb, put it down, grab a new one, plug it in, and that's how you properly change a light bulb.
25 floors up at HPD's headquarters in downtown is where you'll find the Narcotics Evidence Room, a series of vaults filled to the ceiling with seized drugs. One vault now compromised by rats.
We got 400,000 pounds of marijuana in storage that the rats are the only ones enjoying it.
Prompting a major review at the Harris County District Attorney's Office in the first weeks of a new administration.
So who's the rat this time? Mr. Blue? Mr. Brown? Joe? You know, listen, I mean, Joe set this whole thing up. Maybe he set it up to sell.
I don't buy it. Me and Joe go back a long time. I can tell you definitely Joe don't know a fucking thing about this bullshit.
For all I know, you're the rat.
For all I know, you're the fucking rat.
Alright, now you're using your fucking head. I mean, for all we know, he's the rat.
Hey, that kid in there is dying from a fucking bullet I saw him take, so don't you be calling him a rat.
Where'd you get the tickets? Cuban?
Yeah.
I always thought there was some way to divert frequent flying mileage on a grand scale.
To do that, you gotta break into the airlines making do. And what do they call it? Kraken? Hacking. Shelly Hack. Remember her?
Oh, those were the days, man.
She was a good actress.
Yeah. Let me tell you something. You can't get this on whole purpose. So, I got
around, the more you'll find out. And we found out.
Oh, you don't go out Friday night. Yakety yak.
Don't talk back.
Yes! This is what victory feels like. Yeah! And this was no ordinary victory. This was a fork in the road of human civilization. Okay. This you know, there are elections that come and go. Some elections are, you know, important, some are not. But this one this one really matters. And I just want to say thank you for making it happen. Thank you. It is thanks to you that the future of civilization is assured. Thanks to you. We're going to have safe cities, finally, safe cities. Secure borders, sensible spending, basic stuff. And we're going to take Doge to Mars. I mean, can you imagine how awesome it will be to have American astronauts plant the flag on another planet for the first time?